Never Let Me Go is a 2005 dystopian science fiction novel by British author Ishiguro. It was shortlisted for the 2005 Booker Prize, for the 2006 Arthur C. Clarke Award, and for the 2005 National Book Critics Circle Award. Time magazine named it the best novel of 2005 and included the novel in its 100 best English language novels published since 1923. It also received the Nala Alex Award in 2006. A film adaptation directed by Mark Romanek was released in 2010 with Carey Mulligan, Keira Knightley and Andrew Garfield. Ishiguro is a British novelist, screenwriter and short story writer. He was born in Nagasaki, Japan, and he moved to the United Kingdom in 1960 when he was 5. Ishiguro is one of the most celebrated contemporary fiction authors in the English-speaking world. He has received 4 Man Booker Prize nominations and he won the award in 1989 for the novel The Remains of the Day. At first glance, we might think that it's a romance novel, but in reality it's a complicated, multifaceted, cruelly dramatic novel. The author sets the story in an alternative dystopian present, a distorted reality in which things work in a completely different way from the real one. The story focuses mainly on the story of Katie, Tommy and Ruth, 3 students of Esame, a boarding school immersed in the English countryside and completely isolated from the rest of the world. The education of these students is entrusted to some tutors who give them lessons of all kinds. Each activity seems to encourage and develop their creativity. In particular, art lessons play a very important role in the children's lives. Periodically, events such as the Great Enchantment are organized, where students exchange handmade works or find objects from the outside world, such as books, statuettes, or tapes. It is on one of these occasions that the protagonist, Katie, finds the tape containing the song she likes so much, from which the title of the book, Never Let Me Go, derives. The entire school year revolves around an enigmatic figure, whom everyone calls Madame. This lady seems to be afraid of the children, but despite this, every year she gets to the institute to pick up their most beautiful works. The people who are raised and educated in Esame are special. They don't have a family, they know they can't have one, and over time they understand why they were brought into the world. These children have neither a past nor a future. They are clones destined to donate their organs. That's why the tutors care a lot about their health. Children must strictly remain healthy in order to donate and complete their cycle. Students grow up knowing what they are getting into, and the more time passes, the more the concept of donation becomes concrete. The 3 guys in the story become very close over time. Kathy and Ruth become inseparable despite some differences, and Tommy, although he has some sympathy for Katie, gets engaged to Ruth. Around the age of 16, the boys are sent to the cottages. Here, the 3 characters enjoy greater freedom than Esame. They organize outdoor trips, they begin to relate to people not from their school, and they come into contact with the outside world. The atmosphere, however, is no longer the carefree atmosphere of childhood, and the relationship among them begins to fester, until one day, after a fight, Katie decides to leave the farm to work as an assistant. A few years later, Katie runs into Ruth in the hospital. After some initial embarrassment and difficulties, the 2 reconnect, and after a short time they decide to visit Tommy, who seems to be fine despite having already undergone 2 operations. Ruth, who knows that she is going to die, apologizes to Katie and Tommy for having tried in every way to divide them over the years, because she was jealous of their relationship, and she gives them the address of Madame to let them ask her for a referral to the donations. When Ruth completes her cycle, Katie gets to see Tommy again, as she becomes his assistant. This is the beginning of a passionate love story between them. They both know that time is running out, so they decide to visit Madame, convinced that their love and that Tommy's beautiful drawings are enough to obtain a postponement. But unfortunately, during the visit, the 2 discover that no postponement ever existed, and that Esame was actually part of an experiment to prove that even clones have a soul and an artistic sensibility. After a while, they realize that there is nothing to do, and they leave the house ready to face their destiny. If we compare the book with the respective film, we notice that the differences between them are remarkable. The film, compared to the book, has fictionalized and highlighted the love story between Katie and Tommy, whereas in the book it appears only in the last chapters. Even the swinging relationship between Katie and Ruth seems to take a back seat. The film seems to highlight the differences and the character incompatibilities of the two girls, rather than representing their relationship at 360 degrees. In the book, more space is given to the psychological aspect of the characters. Many aspects that maybe we don't catch watching the film are accurately described in the book. For example, if we watched the film without reading the book, we could only stop the superficial aspect of things, and Ruth, with her somewhat gruff ways of doing, might seem unpleasant. Some parts of the book have been changed or even omitted from the film. Norfolk, the city of lost objects, is not as important in the film as it is in the novel, as is Katie's beloved tape, which appears only once or twice in passing. Never Let Me Go is an extraordinary novel, maybe one of the most representative of our times. Despite the drama, Ishiguro manages to bring up many themes, from the lighter ones such as love and friendship, to the more complex ones such as the issue of cloning. The entire existence of the human being is questioned, through an apparently simple linear story, which does not have particular twists. The resignation of the characters facing an already marked destiny is an element that deeply affects the reader. The fact that they lead their lives without rebelling, following a predetermined script that leads them to the completion of their life cycle, may sound crazy at first, but actually we all have to deal with this issue. After all, the human being, like the characters in the book, knows that sooner or later his life will come to an end. But despite this, he fully enjoys it. He lives his existence serenely, without asking too many questions about the future. The novel, in addition to the existentialistic aspect, underlines and highlights the issue of cloning. It is a very delicate subject, which has aroused great interest in the bioethical field in recent years. Through cloning, individuals would totally lose their uniqueness, their freedom. They would nothing be more than a copy, which already has a well-defined destiny. Although this practice could be useful, it would be absolutely immoral. The clone would have no freedom of choice. It would be brought into the world only for a specific purpose. The author gives the novel a unique drama by exasperating this aspect. That's why art is so important in the story. It allows clones to free themselves from social structures, from the obligation they must comply, from the labels that society has given them over time. Ishiguro's discourse is more complex than it seems. The soul is the result of everything we learn in life, and art, as well as everything that stimulates our senses, can have an immense value, as it allows us to free ourselves from a condition of pure vital necessity. The artistic talent so important in the novel does not therefore serve to demonstrate that people possess a soul, but to contribute to the formation of a soul, raising it towards beauty, giving a further meaning to what otherwise would have been only existences devoted to a purely mechanical and material purpose, namely that of donations. The exchange of words between Madame and the guys plays a fundamental role in the book, because it dissolves all the doubts that the protagonists brought with them since childhood. It is the rawest passage in the whole novel. It represents the so-called tearing of the veil, in which the protagonists realize that nothing can change their fate and that they must surrender to their destiny. Another recurring theme in the novel is that of nostalgia. The protagonists know that they cannot have a future, and for this reason they very often cling to the past. The book is full of flashbacks, and everything seems to refer back to Esame and to the years of childhood. Finally, we must mention friendship and love, two fundamental themes of the novel. The author describes in detail the relationships between the protagonists. He doesn't leave out any aspect, any detail. Through this work, we understand that the only things that really matter in life are not things. The feelings, the values are the real bonds that allow us to move forward, to overcome adversities. And no matter how long we have to stay in this world, it doesn't really matter how long we have to live, but how. It is what we feel in our lifetime that makes our journey wonderful, despite everything.